So, hello, welcome back to a new video. I'm kind of forced to make this one in that I promised in the last video that I would talk like half an hour and explain everything, but I kind of didn't explain correctly how to put the thing together. So we are talking about the extender I made for the A1 Mark II or A9 Mark III and possibly also in the future an A7 Mark V. Because we expect that to have the same body. So first let's talk what you need for this, the different parts, the optional parts and the real parts. So of course you need a camera, and I'll take this away when we are showing it for a second. So you need an A1 II or an A9 III, which kind of makes sense because that's why you're making it. And then we have quite a few parts left. So the parts that I provide in the 3D print is basically 4 parts. I call this the plate, the cover. I think this is called the lock and this is called the pull. So these two are the two main parts, and these provide the locking mechanism. Now the parts that need to be supplied by you or that you need to buy is to make sure that you get a plate like this one. And let me show you a new one in the box. Let me put it also down there for a second so that you can see it. You can sort of see the model number because it's on there somewhere. I put it in the comments. It's called a GG-CP-81. I can probably show that in a smaller thing. So I took the parts out, and basically we are using 2 parts from that. We are using the plate itself, which is the arca plate that holds the option to put in an AirTag. Of course, you also need an AirTag if you want to use that feature. And you don't need the screw. You can't use the screw. So you have to get a new screw, which is 18 millimeters long. And you can see that this has the side thingy so that you can twist it open nicely. You can't actually use that. You have to take it off with a plier and then, you're done. Or if you find another screw, of course you can use that. It is important that there's a free area. So you can see there's a free area there before the threading begins. And that's quite important because otherwise it can't nicely turn into the plate, which it needs to do to be able to connect correctly to the camera. Why is this important? Because we want to make sure that it does not extend into the body, so into from this hole into the body, more than 5.5 millimeters into the camera body. So these holes at the bottom of our cameras supply enough room for about 7 millimeters, but they advise not to go deeper than 5.5 millimeters. So that's also why the plate is now 17 millimeters high. Could be 2 or 3 millimeters smaller, but I had to sort of adapt to the screw. So, and then the tool, which is also part of this package, which is nice. There's even a screwdriver in there, so not bad value. A screwdriver, the plate itself, the arca plate, with the space for the air tag, and this tool, which we also created a room for. So the last thing on the table, I think I covered and everything, is this tape. I used a gun grip tape with GT5000. I'll also put a link in the remark. I found this to be, over the years, I've used this on a lot of different photo related stuff. The best stuff. It comes in strips, and we're going to cut it down to about 12 millimeters. Depends on what look you want. You can measure that out yourself. Down to a strip, and then we can attach it to the camera, to the grip part. I'm also using it in different areas, which I will explain. I'm using the same strips. This is about 0.3 millimeters thick, and so if you want to use other material and kind of have the same fit and finish, then you need something of this thickness. I think this is the best stuff. It's not easy to get in Europe, but I ordered it in a big pack. And use it for multiple years. I actually lost a pack of I think about 16 or 20 strips, and I can't find it anymore, so I had to order a new one. Anyway, I will put that to the side for a second, and we first focus on the 4 parts that we actually need. So these are the 4 parts. I will zoom into them a little bit and also show you what extra things I put on. But first, the important part. So the first thing, if you print it out, make sure that you print it like I have done on the example deck. I picked that this side is always up, so that means that it has to make support for the bottom side for this part, and also the bottom side for this part. So basically this is the bottom, you can also see that. So this has to be taken out later. You can kind of see the residue. And the reason I do that is because then these parts kind of mix together quite well. I have printed a few in the reverse, so just laying them down and making this the nice side, let's say that. I find that this is also workable, but I ended up using this one. So then you have two small parts. One is called the pole, which is part of the closing mechanism, and the other part is what I call the lock. So first thing you need to do, if you have printed it, make sure that you clean it correctly, also inside all these holes. I found this personally with the 3 support a little bit more difficult. I'm using normal support to take it out, but this one was done with 3 support and it also works. I just found it a little bit harder to get the support out. So the support here and this hole on the plate part is quite important to clean correctly. And you can see if that is done correctly by just using this pull and making sure that it sort of goes inside correctly. Let me show you what I mean. So this kind of should freely sort of move about in here. So then we are going to put it together. So again, also make sure that these areas in here are cleaned. And then you should be able to, without the locking mechanism, yes, put it in. And you can see that it should line up, and you can check that in this ridge. It should quite nicely lock up. We can maybe make the camera a bit lighter. So it's overly bright, but you can see it a bit better. So if this is done correctly, then we can take it out again, and it should be easy to put in and put out. So once this is done, what I would do is I will do it on the big thingy. So let me put it like this. I think it's probably best to see. Hopefully, I didn't check it. So you have this part, and you can see the part to the bottom has to be in a certain way. And this can be quite tight. I made a new version of this, so it's a little bit stronger. This can be quite tight. So what's good probably is the first time is that you really put it in by hand. It does not really matter which side it is on. And to make sure that it sort of slides in all the way. And that's quite important. So once that is done and sort of the stuff is out there, of course this is from one that I printed yesterday, so it's already quite working quite nicely. So the next thing you do is put this part, I think we're going back to the top camera again, to put this part in the back of this. Again, also make sure that this is kind of cleaned. This one is not actually that clean. I can use my nail to make it a bit more cleaner. And you can see that it goes in. I will probably rotate it a few times to make sure that it's really nicely sort of working. And yeah, the next thing is you need to do, and that's maybe the most tricky part because the rest kind of makes sense. You can see the hole over there. You kind of need to aim it to this this opening, and then this is important. There is a little knob on the one side. Make sure that it goes up. So let me show you. There's the knob part. And let me put it down. It's easier to see. So it's supposed to go in to the top. So the sticky part has to go that way. And then you need to find the hole, which should work. And now the first time, it needs to hide into this part. And that's quite precise. So the first time it might go a bit difficult. So if you click it in, you will hit a clear click at some point. You might need to supply some pressure here. Click. Did you hear it click in? And then it should go all the way and basically make sure that it does not stick out, right? So if you put it in one position, it sticks out. You can see it moving in and out. Let me do it closer to the camera. But make sure that it's hiding totally in this area. And once this is sort of, we maybe move it a few times. Once this is smooth, you should be okay. Of course, then put it in the hidden position, and now put it back. Oh, it was already correct. Put it back in the top part. So make sure that it is correct, and then you can sort of test the locking mechanism. I would first do that still off the camera, and by just moving it. And the first time it might not go totally straight, which is fine. I find that after a few times it will quite easily go all straight. It might do a little pop, which is nice because that means that it's locking. It's not mandatory, but it's probably, yeah, so far I've been lucky that most of them work out this way. So the next part is adding the plate itself. So make sure that you attach, I already have one in the correct screw, because otherwise it will, well, you will notice it because you can't go far enough into the body. But I want to warn again to make sure that you get the correct length of screw to have this to work correctly. So next thing, I would attach over the Peak Design plug if you use one, and slide it over to the correct area. So down the hole, and it should fit in. I'm holding it now so that I can see what I'm doing, because otherwise it's too difficult. But it should, once you have guided the tiny bit, it should be able to click in. It's not glued or anything, it's just sort of stuck there. It does not need to be glued, because the screw will of course also attach it to the camera. Now you can see that indeed it's only sticking out a few millimeters over there. Right? And we are kind of done. Now, what I didn't show you, I will take it out before I put it on. I decided to put also some of this grippy tape over here, a tiny bit over there, and also inside. So if I open it up again, you can see that I've put a little bit over there. You can see it there, and also on the other side. Is this necessary? No, but it sort of makes it, I think it makes it less likely that it will start sort of moving, and moving is also getting noise and sort of feeling of instability. I found this to be a good way. I also do it to protect the camera a bit, because that means that it can't really shift easy on itself, and I've always done that in L brackets. It sounds like a hack. You don't need to do it. It could maybe be designed out that you don't need it at all. I don't think it's necessary now, depending on the print quality you get. But I do think it's always an improvement, so that's why I do it. And again, I'm using the same grip material that we showed before. So let me put it back. I think that's all the parts. Now what we have not done is add the tool, which I will not do. I will, the first time if I put it on the camera, I would actually leave it on. So let's install it on the camera. This is kind of a normal way to do it. I always do grips like this. Normally once a grip is on, I will probably not take it out for like a half a year or so. First take the tool, right, that you got into it, and slowly twist it a bit. Make sure that it's a bit aligned. Now I don't fully lock it down in the beginning. I will lock it down a bit and then hold it. So let me go to the full view. Then hold it and see if it's kind of feeling nice and if it's well aligned. And then while holding it, I would lock it down, and I think a tight is tight enough, and you will feel sort of a slide to the correct position, and the guiding pens will be in. So this is kind of it. It's now connected, and you can see that it's working. And of course now we can put the lens back on. So the last thing I can show is now of course the Peak Design plug. Oh, let me go to the top view again. The Peak Design plug, you can see that we can plug this back in. The wire needs to go at the top a bit so that it's easier to get out. So and you can see that it's now hiding below. It will find its way over time. So you can put down the camera and go to the side view, and you can see from both views how it now sort of looks. Of course, side view in this case makes more sense. So here we go. I'll also make this a little tiny bit lighter. Hopefully. Let me check the camera. Of course, we still need to be messy. should become lighter. It doesn't. I have no idea why, but hopefully you can see this enough. And in a way, it is also realistic, because I find that on the cameras you see way more than you actually need to see, and then you see reality. So in reality, you have to be pretty close to notice this thing. So last thing we can do is show how the tool gets in. So back to the top view. So open it up and also show you that actually the battery part is working. So open it up, you unlock it again, and then the part comes out. Of course, I would do it while you are holding it like this, right? It kind of makes more sense. Then of course we can also see that the battery door opens. We can take the battery out if we need to. And the last part I would do is show you that you can add the tool. So the tool works both for the small rig ones and for this one, because the hole on this one is a bit smaller. And make sure that you press it in. The first time you'll probably take it out 2 or 3 times, and then it's also cleaned. And you make sure that this is really lower than the plastic, so that it can't really touch the camera, if that makes sense. So you can see that is now hidden, and we have this nice tool with us all the time. So put this back. Make sure that it's totally flush. And you can then sort of lock it again. And again, I would do it while holding it. In this case, I'm doing it because I am holding an expensive camera, but you should be able, if I go to the full view, see that I can put it in, press it in, and then lock it, and it will go into this lock situation. Oh, maybe I didn't show you. So open it up, put it in, and turn it. And the first time it might be a little bit heavy, it sort of clicks in at some point. I made it a little bit stronger physically, because depending on the material on the print, it might not go easy, but at some point it should click into this closed position. It does not actually have to be totally closed if you're fine with having it not totally straight. So let me go in the top view again. So this does not have to be totally straight. It's kind of an extra sort of way to lock things down. And now, of course, what is important, that it feels stable. So if you're holding it, it should really not give you any idea of movement, and that's the important part. And then kind of done. So quickly go around if this is the only video you see about it. So there's an arca plate with a airtag inside. There's a peak design plug that we have seen. There's a tool inside we have just showed you. The way that I've designed the cage is that I made a ridge over here, so it's not as easy to hit the LCD. So I love the new design of the Sony bodies, but especially if you close it up like this, the screen can be hit from below. This is unrelated to our grip. It can also always be hit from below, if that makes sense, because yeah, this is the way that Sony designed this time. I'm not sure if it says extra danger there, but if you're using an arca plate or wanna have some extra protection, that's why I made this ridge over here. You can see that sign of a line. So if we hit something from below, I'm pretty sure it will sort of glide over and misses the screen. The only downside is that you can't really move it too much in this direction anymore. So you can move it in this direction, which, to be fair, makes way more sense. I asked some friends, almost none of them use it in the other way, but you can still do it. You just need to take it a tiny bit out, and then you can do the normal flippy thing. So I think this is a well reasoned compromise. So yes, we are limiting the screen a tiny bit, but just taking it out if you need this angle, it can still be done. To be fair, I think it's much more useful to probably do it like this in this case. And then, so this screen is so flexible that you can work around it. I don't think this is a downside. Actually, I think it's a feature, that's why I did. So yeah, I think this should be enough to get you going. And hopefully you enjoy this homemade extender for the Sony a1ii and the a9iii. So thank you for watching, and let me know either on the maker site or on Facebook if it works out for you. Bye bye.